Is being too connected driving you crazy? New research suggests the internet can make us lonely and depressed and even create more severe mental illnesses. Dr. Joshua Weiner joins us with a look at the research and how to avoid becoming addicted to technology. And I guess we have to admit, I'm going to admit that I just cannot be without my cell phone. I mean, I'm not calling people, but I'm afraid to put it down.
Right, you're afraid you might miss something.
Yeah,
a lot of people
I don't know
are bringing it
what
home.
I'm afraid of missing. How about you?
You know what? I'm really not technically savvy. I'm a novice with this stuff. I sent my first text message like, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Okay,
so I'm late to come
You're not
to
addicted,
this.
so you can tell us the rest of us, what are we doing wrong here? Everywhere we have access, in our homes, in our offices, in the car.
Right.
Okay, is this really driving us crazy? It's not a good thing?
I actually don't think it's driving us crazy. So there's a cover article on this last week's Newsweek magazine talking about all the detrimental effects of being so connected, talking about ADHD and OCD and even psychosis and depression. And they're suggesting that there is a link. I actually disagree with a lot of what I read in that article and what the press is saying. I do not think there's a connection. I think if you take a healthy, mentally well person and you put them in touch with Twitter and Facebook and having more time on the internet, you're not going to turn that mentally healthy person into somebody who's unhealthy. I think there are some risks associated, some things people need to watch out for, but I think it's a big exaggeration to suggest that being wired and connected all the time is causing mental illness.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about little kids,
okay,
like these 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds who walk around and honestly know how to turn it on, go to each game, play the games. I mean, it is pretty impressive when you see them that little doing it, but are they being hurt by it?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think that there doesn't seem to be any persuasive evidence to suggest that a lot of kids spending time doing some of these games causes major problems. I have little kids. I let them play on my iPad. I let them play games on my iPhone. I'm not worried about it.
It is pretty impressive, as I said before, when you see that they know how to do the whole thing. I mean, a lot of things that I don't know how to do on my computer, I see little children doing. Okay, so you say that it's not an addiction, but it can cause, or do you believe that it can cause some problems in some people?
So I do think it can cause some problems. There is such a thing as internet addiction, but I think we have to take all of this with a grain of salt. Anything really, for the most part, that people do that they really enjoy has the potential to get out of control. So gambling, food, excessive exercise, sex. You know, people can become addicted to these things, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't do any of these things. I mean, people can go to Las Vegas, gamble for a day, and never go back for another couple years and enjoy themselves. So there are some people where this stuff just gets completely out of control, but I think that that represents a small subset of the people who are spending time on the digital media.
It says here there have been studies that have shown that excessive use of digital media changes the way the brain looks on brain scans.
Right.
What's that about?
Okay, so there have been some studies, Chinese studies in particular, that have looked at scanning people who spend a lot of time on the internet, so-called internet addicts, and they have found that their brains look a little different than people who do not have that problem, more like the brains of people who are addicted to drugs. However, even the authors of these studies say that their studies were very small, and it's really just a small association, and that really even their own studies should be taken with a grain of salt. So I think we can't say that these studies are definitive proof that this time spent on the internet is actually causing massive brain changes. The other thing to keep in mind is that pretty much everything has the potential to change your brain. So if you go from not playing a lot of tennis to playing a lot of tennis, you are going to see differences in the way your brain, on brain scans.
Right.
So it's not really that new in terms of information.
And I'm going to have to show you some of the apps that you can use on your cell phone if you don't know them already, because there's a lot of stuff you're not going to want to live without. All right, thanks a lot, Dr. Weiner. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Barbara.